Today's video looks at what ifs and fix that archetypes on a completely different level. With early reveals of BT22 already hitting the news waves, honestly I kinda missed out on some of these videos already with how much that has been revealed. New Vmon just dropped yesterday, and of course we've already gotten a slew of Omnimon support cards between EX9 and Nokia Shiramine. But what about Diaboromon? I've already covered previous prediction videos in the past, but sometimes when Bandai hints at effects, it does give us a glean into what they're cooking up next. With that, let's look at the history of Diaboromon starting with BT2, what it's missing, and what effects we're likely getting. As always, if you enjoy these types of videos, do consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting that notification bell for more future content. Diaboromon support cards made their official debut in BT2, part of Special Booster 1.0 and 1.5. And although it only had 5 members to begin with, it never really took off as a competitive deck due to its only single line. Though arguably we got DP buffs with the tsumemon, card draw with the keramon, and memory gain with the kurisarimon. Heck, even Diaboromon offered some of the first battle protection in the game. At the time of release, players would also sought the promos for this line because they were only available here. Though arguably none of them were good and just had tribal elements, minus the top end Diaboromon who could aggressively check security. But it wouldn't be until BT5 we'd see a mild shift in its usability because of adding an egg draw tsumemon, a searcher keramon, a rush inheritable kurisarimon, and an infermon that punished the deletion of the stack. Even the newest Diaboromon at the time was able to generate you an extra token immediately without relying on battle. Combo this with the tamer Arata Sonata and you were golden to create a number of extra bodies that could gain you a bunch of memory or have rush and attack out. EX1 would then introduce more DP buffs, an ability to unsuspend, and even tax your opponent's Digimon they were Digivolved into level 5 or higher. With this Diaboromon providing blocker for all of your Diaboromon Digimon and having a security effect. Defense was becoming more of a thing. But with EX6 shifting the entire core line again, this line was arguably one of the best ones for the fact that it power crept everything. Keramon's searching ability now included an inheritable in which you floated a body to the board if the stack was removed. Kurisarimon likewise the same, but also providing a means to delete floodgates. And the new Infamon provided free evil up into Diaboromon at the expense of another Diaboromon in play. Even the top end Diaboromon was an upgrade of the previous EX1 Diaboromon by not only providing blocker, but jamming as well. Not to mention this would be one of the first core sights at Diaboromons, which was not white. Backing up this line was also the Blast Evo Diaboromon, which combined with your level 5s was a menace to de-digivolve stacks and potentially delete them. And with the last and final line of BT17, this introduced an incomplete line mainly because it was basing it off movie canon instead. But here we had memory gains from losing our stack, more floats, and disruption when your opponent digivolved up on their turn, and another de-digivolving Infamon. But as much as I thought the Doomsday Clock concept was interesting, this Diaboromon arguably is one of the worst ones of the mono black ones. Now that I've cycled through every Diaboromon card in the Digimon card game that's focused to this line, where is Bandai going from here, and what am I anticipating? Bandai has already introduced the newest Kurisarimon to the deck, a new level 4 that when digivolving, if you have one or fewer tamers, you get to play Arata Sonata from your hand without paying the cost. But the big thing that stuck out to me for this level 4 is that it is the first Diaboromon card that provides blanket protection by nixing one of your other Diaboromons in play. Keep in mind what's interesting to me about this card is that it adds another layer of specificity by explicitly calling out a Digimon with Diaboromon in its text, meaning its protection is only applicable here. It's not splashable like High Commandramon, in which it has the wording of this Digimon. Now again, with just a level 4 revealed here, what are items I think Bandai could be doing next? And this is where the remainder of the video mainly looks at. For the sake of discussion, let's consider the harder cards first before tying all the others that are much easier to consider. With tsumemon, this level 2 is honestly a head scratcher for me. There aren't enough clues or context in what this level 2 could be. With the direction the game is going, it does seem like Bandai is pushing for faster games and making decks primarily aggro. With this assumption, I felt giving your Diaboromon blocker would be one avenue to consider. It's specific to a Digimon versus blanket blocking, but I could also see where Bandai could make the level 2 egg a redirect attack once per turn to the stack. But the last option in my mind would be a memory gainer when a Diaboromon is played. But for a level 2 effect, might be a little much considering it used to be on level 4. Infamon is the only other Digimon that had me scratching my head on what it could do, but after a little bit of thought, because your effects hinge on Arata Sonata, I felt it might have a when digivolving effect that plays one black tamer with a play cost of 4 or less without paying its cost. We already have indicators in the set that there will be multiple tamers, and with CS Rise Greymon pulling the same feat, it also makes some sense. However, I took an additional spin with this Digimon by providing it an effect that de-digivolves an opponent's Digimon by 1 for each black tamer you have. Silly, but it's what Infermon is good at. The inheritable for this, of course, in my mind, is currently Alliance, though this could go elsewhere as well. Now, if these were the head scratchers for me, why am I so confident about everything else? In regards to Keramon, Bandai has been notorious for making the level 3 Digimon inheritables the same as the level 4 in the line since BT14, meaning this Keramon would also allow you to delete a Diaboromon in order to prevent this Digimon with Diaboromon in its text from leaving play. Look at Commandramon and High Commandramon as an example, and with their most recent reveal of Vmon, the same application here. But for the primary effect for a while, I felt they might go another searcher route for this level 3, power creeping BT2 to a certain degree. But again, after Vmon's reveal, I am confident it's the Digivolution cost reducer for an unidentified trait Digimon. This helps climbing up your line quickly, and of course also playing Arata. With the reveal of Nokia Shiromine being a memory fixer, I also felt that Arata Sonata is going to get the same treatment. If not being a memory gainer at the start of your turn if you have a Digimon with unidentified in its traits in play, or a tamer with a memory gain if your opponent has a Digimon in play. My theory right now for this tamer is that it will have a your turn, once per turn effect, in which when your Diaboromon is deleted, you get to spawn another token at the expense of suspending this tamer. However, this tamer will also provide an aggressive ability for your Digimon in that when one of your Diaboromon is played, by a Digimon effect, once per turn one of your Diaboromon may immediately attack. This circumvents issues with passing the turn with just playing a bunch of tokens, and can now provide some additional incentive. Which means for the last card for this video, of course, it's going to go with Diaboromon. Because Bandai is going with as aggressive as possible and removal as much as possible, this Diaboromon has a few things to consider. First, when Digivolving, the obvious effect of playing a Diaboromon token. But what else could or should this Digimon do? The one thing that I felt Diaboromon decks get messed up by is Blast Digivolution. And to counter this, what better way to prevent one of your opponent's Digimon from Digivolving for each other Diaboromon you have in play? One other aspect that I wanted to incorporate into this Diaboromon is giving it the ability to play a Diaboromon by other methods. And the thought process was, what if we make it so that when your opponent plays a Digimon, whether they just drop one or play by effect, you get to play one yourself. This may counter certain elements, or even provide you the one token you needed to delete to maintain Diaboromon on board. Now with the primary effects complete, it was time to look at what keywords we could slap on this baby to make it good. The first keyword that came to mind immediately with the mention of deleting tokens is of course overclock. Let's be real, a Diaboromon could potentially slap and give you ways to protect still. But if you have more than enough tokens, Diaboromon can simply go for game with overclock. I didn't incorporate any rush elements for this lineup because I'm assuming Bandai wants us to utilize the BT5 variant for this reason. And at the same time, if you can chip with enough damage or tokens, then this means you can overclock to finish the game. These are my early visions of what I think Diaboromon is likely going to be. But what are you wanting? More security checks? Additional protection? Utilization of the Doomsday Clock? Let me know your thoughts as I hopefully explore more of what BT22 has for us in store. This is DIGI-PANDA, logging out.